Hello, everyone. This is Zach with the Gridiron Review, and I'm going to be breaking down and discussing our mock draft 4.0 with trades. First, we have Carolina Panthers going CJ Stroud. Until they decide to not make this choice, that's the one that we believe I feel is pretty obvious based on our analysis. And yes, there's reports that they really are in love with Bryce Young, but we do not feel like Young is a bad prospect. We feel like he is more of a upside floor kind of guy, meaning he's safer. I misspoke a little bit there, but he is definitely safer as a quarterback. And we have him comped to Alex Smith. And I know that's not popular, but we view him as a very, very good leader and someone who can run most different offenses. But it is in our opinion that Stroud's upside is way more. So we have Carolina going with Stroud, Ohio State quarterback at 1. At number 2, we have our first trade. We haven't really seen this too much. Most importantly, we've seen many different picks projected to the Seattle Seahawks, and that's because they could go many different directions. They've met with all the quarterbacks, which could be smoke. It could be real. If it is real, we think they probably love Pete Carroll, especially Anthony Richardson's ceiling. And since they have Geno Smith for 3 years and a front-loaded contract that they can get out of after the first year, Anthony Richardson makes more sense than Bryce Young, who should play sooner rather than later. Pete Carroll has said that he's one of his regrets or disappointments is that he's never gotten to take a quarterback super high. And therefore, it is in our opinion that he's looking to do that. And we don't know if he stays at 5 and Seattle stays at 5, that there'll be one of the quarterbacks there. So we have them giving up, as you can see on the right, pick 105 and 120 for pick 102. They keep all their day 2 choices. And they keep next year picks. We think it's pretty fair. Houston, why we don't have them having a quarterback is we don't think they're ready. We know they're reportedly loving Bryce Young, but if we were in control, and it is in our opinion that they should just build the best defense possible with the DeMeco Ryans 49ers defense, because they do have a lot of holes there, and look for Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, or Drake May next year while the rookie coaching staff is able to build up their team and figure out their identity. At pick 3, we have our second trade. Indianapolis gets a little nervous, and they have a complicated trade. We try to figure out how to make this work. We have them going and getting pick 103 from Arizona and DeAndre Hopkins so that their guy that they're targeting, Bryce Young, has a very good wide receiver trio of Hopkins, Alec Pierce, and Michael Pittman, along with Jelani Woods Growth and Jonathan Taylor. We know Indy is a wild card, and if they go Will Levis, we would hate the pick. We think he's massive bust potential, Bo Callahan from draft day type of personality, and we just have concerns about how Will Levis will be as a professional, and that he may get the Zach Wilson treatment where he gets a harsh dose of reality that he may or may not be able to deal with. Arizona receives 104, Colts second-round pick, and a 2024 third. With flipping back, they still get the player they probably want anyway, Will Anderson. We actually don't have him as our edge 1, but he is more versatile than Myles Murphy, who is our edge 1. And Jonathan Gannon's defense, which featured Hassan Reddick, should be more towards a Will Anderson type of player. There's something to worth mention. It'd be really fun if this was Nolan Smith. We're having a hard time projecting him. We've had him in our top 15, and as you'll see in this one, we have him a little bit later. If anyone were to take a wild swing, it could be Arizona, with seeing shades of a more athletic Hassan Reddick, and Jonathan Gannon, who knows how he's going to be as a head coach. So that'll be interesting to see. With their trade back, we have the Houston Texans going with Myles Murphy, our edge 1, someone who tests very similarly and size-wise is very similar to Trayvon Walker, the number 1 overall pick last year, except we think he's much more developed. And we love his upside, and we think Houston really needs defensive line help especially, and they go get their guy here. In San Francisco, they started with the defensive line, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, among others, Javon Kinlaw whenever he was healthy, DeVaris Buckner when he was there. So they get their guy in Myles Murphy. With Detroit shipping off Jeff Okudah, they did add guys to the cornerback room and the safety room, but we think they might be looking at Christian Gonzalez, and that the trade of Jeff Okudah signals that. We love the fit. We've had it before and we've switched it off, but we're back to this. The Raiders' offensive line is abysmal, and if they take any other position besides offensive line, it's a loss. We know they need corners as well, but it's glaringly bad. At pick 8, we have our third trade. Atlanta gives up 108 to Philly for 110 and 394. The Eagles get their guy, Jalen Carter. It's not necessarily a done deal, but it does feel like this fit is amazing. And they don't give up something too crazy to get there since it's only a 2-pick jump. The Bears take Anton Harrison. We're very high on him. We think he's the best pure tackle in this draft, and we have to trust our evaluation on that. Chicago's done a great job building the offensive line and building around Justin Fields, but they still need more help on the line. At pick 10, we have our wide receiver 1 going to Atlanta, Zay Flowers. We know they drafted Drake London in the top 10 last year, but go look at their depth chart. It is awful. It's so bad. And Zay Flowers would pair really, really well with the very big pass catchers, Drake London, Matt Collins, and Kyle Pitts. He could dominate underneath, offer a ton after the catch, and really help out Desmond Ridder if they're serious about that. The Titans, they could be going a few different ways. We explored a trade up for a quarterback. We have no idea. They're like Seattle. They could go so many different options. Their team is not that great. They cut Taylor Lewan, so they need another offensive lineman, and Peter Skoronski offers more versatility. He's probably more of a guard at the next level, and they need that too. So there's not too much thought into this. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback if you can't protect him. This could be Will Levis, but we have to trust our evaluation that he's going to fall a little bit. Houston, with their second pick, goes Devon Witherspoon. They did take Stingley last year. That was an old regime. We know D'Amico Ryans was the defensive coordinator of San Fran, where they didn't value defensive backs, but who knows how much control he had over the draft itself. So they go get a very good corner to pair with Stingley and continue building up the defense. The Jets, is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it not? Could it be still Lamar Jackson in the long run? Who knows? Either way, it's hard to predict what role Mekhi Becton is going to have. That being said, they're going to need to protect whoever it is, especially Aaron Rodgers. So they go with Broderick Jones. New England, they haven't re-signed Isaiah Wynn, and it doesn't sound like they're going to. So Riley Reif is not a starter. Darnell Wright should start day 1. It's New England. As much as they need other stuff, that's just what they do. Green Bay historically hasn't drafted wide receivers in the first round, but they're starting off with Jordan Love era, and there's other needs, but Jackson Smith-Njigba is a dependable target that would pair really well with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. He's not going to stretch vertically, but he is going to be the check down, dependable target out of the slot that runs great routes and can have people lost and be Jordan Love's best friend. Washington, another team that has a bunch of different needs, depth especially. Their starting lineup isn't bad, but as we saw last year, one injury and it's a problem. But they're going to go Brian Branch because we don't believe Danny Johnson is the best nickel corner out there. Branch is a safety. He's probably the best also nickelback slot corner in this draft, which is where we think he'll play for Washington. Pittsburgh, we had a wide receiver last time because their depth isn't great, but maybe they actually believe that they can roll with that. Their corner room after Patrick Peterson and Ahkello Witherspoon is not great. And Joey Porter is a hometown guy. We did change it to Porter. They drafted Kenny Pickett from Pitt last year, so Porter being a Penn State alum, it makes a lot of sense. And if there was ever a team to do it and draft the hometown guys, it is Pittsburgh. Detroit, we think this pick is a D tackle no matter what. It's between Kalijah Kancey and Brian Brzee. Brzee is the more complete player, offering a lot in the run and pass, but Kancey is a better pure pass rusher. Detroit has their 2 run blockers already, or their run defenders already at tackle, so we think they go get a very good pass rushing presence on the inside to unlock Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Paschal, and the many other rotating James Houston pass rushers that they have. We have another trade. We initially didn't have this, but Minnesota's got to be desperate for a receiver. After KJ Osborne and Jay Jettas, it's barren, and we have them giving up pick 123, 387, and a third next year. It could just be the extra third, but we think Tampa holds all the cards because Houston, LA, and Baltimore all need receivers as well. So Minnesota is going to be desperate. We have them going up and getting Quentin Johnston. It could be any of the next 3 to go, but Johnston has a different skill set. He's bigger and he'd really pair well with what Osborne does and especially with what Jefferson does. Houston, this is their third pick of the first round. We have them going Jalen Hyatt. By no means do we think Hyatt is better than Jordan Addison, but Hyatt's skill set, Houston actually has a decent wide receiver room, and Hyatt's skill set is that of one that could stretch the field vertically in a way that their guys don't currently. They have a lot of underneath guys. Jordan Addison is a vertical receiver as well, except he tested a little concerningly, and he weighed in pretty small. So we think Houston goes and drafts the second coming of Will Fuller in Jalen Hyatt. LA probably wants Hyatt. We've had that mocked every single one in our first three. That being said, Jordan Addison is a nice consolation, still offers a similar skill set that they're missing in a way that Hyatt does, just not in this as projectable, meaning like Hyatt's bigger, he's heavier, he's faster, his jumps were great. Addison is Brandon Cooks and Tyler Lockett like, maybe a little bit worse, but either way, Herbert will love a deep threat to pair with the big bodies, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Josh Palmer. Baltimore misses out on the top 5 receivers, and we have them going with our number 6, Rashee Rice. This is a little bit of a reach, but we've had this before where Rice sneaks into the first round. It is in our opinion that if any receiver has the potential to be a number 1 from this second group, it is Rashee Rice. He's bigger. He's 6'2". He offers a ton after the catch. Very elusive. He's a jump ball master, which should help Lamar out. And his athleticism is just okay, but good for you. You have Rashad Bateman, who ran in the 4.3s, and the ghost of OBJ, who knows what that's going to offer. Does this get Lamar back? Is he back by this point? We don't really know. But for now, Rashee Rice offers a very unique skill set and a red zone weapon that they currently don't have. Tampa Bay, they're in a weird spot. We're assuming they're going to try to be competitive. This could be Will Levis, but we are looking Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask and Will Levis is kind of a messy situation, and we wonder if they're going to take a more helpful piece now. And for us, Cody Mauch offers a lot of flexibility across the offensive line that's got a few holes. Toothless and Ruthless joins Tampa Bay. And then our final picks, Deonte Banks to Jacksonville. We initially had Brian Branch going there. Obviously, he's already gone by this point. Really, Jacksonville's team is set up very nicely. They could use an offensive line depth, but we don't think they take that in the first round. Slot corner is kind of the glaring need, so Deonte Banks comes in and plays that role. New York, again, probably still wants a receiver, but they've done enough that they might be able to wait off of day one. And if this is how it goes and are not able to trade up, there's no one here we would take anyway. So they go with Lucas Van Ness, who's flexible D and D tackle. Wink Martindale will love it. Dallas Bijan, it feels just too obvious, and we don't see Philly is not taking Bijan. We can't believe it. They succeeded greatly in the running game with day 2 and day 3 guys, and they rotate their backs out. So you'd be drafting Bijan at 10 for not even top 15 in the league in carries. It's a ridiculous notion, and the people that keep projecting it, it's nonsense. Does Philly take a running back? Absolutely. On day 2 or day 3. This is a very deep running back class. There's no need for them to pull the trigger. Dallas, Bijan seems like a match made in heaven for Jerry Jones. He doesn't always draft need. In fact, I would say most of the time he doesn't draft need and just drafts for star power. Hometown guy in Texas. He should pair really well with Tony Pollard. And that sucks for us because we really do like Tony Pollard, but his value is probably not much different than it was last year if Bijan is there. Buffalo, we have taken the first tight end, Darnell Washington. We really didn't consider this ever, except that they met with him, and that's been like in the news about how well that went. That could be smoke, but we really think Buffalo is desperately trying to get a wide receiver and trade up, but in this, it doesn't happen. And as we were thinking about it, Buffalo is probably guaranteed to do 2 things. One, they're looking to get another receiving weapon for Allen. And who knows with the Stephon Diggs situation, what's going on. But 2, they're also probably looking to get more balanced. Dawson Knox is not much of a blocker. Darnell Washington is the best blocking tight end we've seen in a very long time. Maybe the best pure blocking prospect at the tight end position ever. And it just so happens it comes in a 6'7" frame with insane projectable upside as a receiver and a red zone weapon. they really don't have, like, Diggs is obviously one of the best wide receivers in the league, but if you're talking big body guys, Dawson Knox is not big for a tight end. So this is a different way for them to solve their problems. We're not guaranteeing this happened, but sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. And we would like this fit personally. Again, it would allow them to get more balanced. It would allow them to add another red zone weapon and allow them to potentially develop an absolute monster, someone that projects could be one of the best tight ends in football in a couple of years. Cincinnati, they signed Irv Smith. That does nothing in our opinion. Dalton Kincaid should go really well in Cincinnati. Replace Hayden Hurst with a little bit better upside and younger. Not much to that. The New Orleans Saints have done a decent job of replacing the guys that are lost, but they're very thin. So we have them taking Bryan Bresee. He falls a little bit just because other teams need other positions. And we think he's learns from Cam Jordan and a similar player that can play inside and outside along the defensive line. We have our final trade here with Philly trading up to get Jalen Carter. We think they trade back. Vegas gets in to take their quarterback with the fifth-year option, and Philly gets 238, 141. And Hunter Renfrow, who keeps being used in trade talks and rumors, it doesn't seem like he wants to be there. It doesn't seem like Josh McDaniels wants him there, which is odd, but they did sign Jacoby Myers, who plays in a very similar role. And Philly is missing that third receiver. It's not Quez Watkins. He's one of the reasons they lost the Super Bowl. So they go a little bit different. They get a pure slot, so Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown can be used all over the place. And could this be used for trade up earlier to get one of the top three quarterbacks? Absolutely. Renfrow could be a trade chip to Houston or even Arizona. But for now, we think that the Raiders go stop the slide on Levis to get that fifth-year option. Whether it works out or not, who knows? We're not Levis fans. We think he's got all the physical tools in the world, but he's incredibly overrated. He's got a lot more development, and he's got to adjust to the NFL life. And then finally, we have Nolan Smith going 31 to Kansas City, replacing Frank Clark. We think Nolan Smith is a much better prospect than this, and he could go anywhere, but he is a very hard one to project. It's hard to tell what people will think of him come draft day because it's all projection. He seems like a very good person, a very good player, very coachable, insane athlete, but it is all projection. I thank you guys for watching. Anyone that's been watching along, anyone that watches after the fact, we are the Gridiron Review again. Check out our channel for more draft stuff. In the description, I linked our video about why we don't think Tyree Wilson is a first-round prospect and a little more insight into how we feel the Carolina Panthers decision at 1 is going to go. Again, give us a like, subscribe. We greatly appreciate it, and thanks for watching.